Today's deck tech may be on a budget, but it punches well above its weight class, taking full advantage of a cheap strategy to control the board, then exploiting the wording of certain cards for even more advantage. Zagras, Thief of Heartbeats, is the commander of this deck, fully embracing the vampire motif to bring doom and gloom to our opponent's creatures, before bringing them to the winning team. Before we go full Dracula, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. It goes a long way to supporting the channel, and with that out of the way, Zagras, Thief of Heartbeats is a 6-mana, 1 red, 1 black, 4 generic, 4/4 legendary creature vampire or rogue that says, this spell costs 1 less to cast for each member in your party. Flying, Death Touch, Haste. Other creatures you control have Death Touch, and whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a planeswalker, destroy that planeswalker. Our main concern is the other creatures you control have Death Touch. This gives us a huge advantage with our creatures turning the deck into a control style deck where we dictate what creatures stay and what has to go. Because while our little pingers may seem useless aside from dealing with other 1/1 creatures or tokens, the real punch is when we give these creatures Death Touch. Now when they deal that 1 point of damage, it's lethal.
Now you gotta die. Those are the rules.
Saying that, this deck would seem pretty reliant on creatures, but we don't need many to be a real nightmare for other players to deal with. You essentially get to sit on a big red removal button, and whoever wants to F around can definitely find out. Let's dive into those creatures because we have some spice in the deck to really put the pressure on our opponents. Death Greeter will keep us at a healthy life total. Dreadhorde Butcher acts as a warrior, reducing our commander's cost, and can usually get in some free attacks with us removing other creatures in their path, becoming a real nuisance that our opponents will have to deal with eventually. Fireslinger, Harsh Mentor punishes our opponents for activating abilities and is a cleric, once again making our commander cheaper. Ornithopter of Paradise, Sparksmith, White. Blood Cultist is a triple threat, having a relevant creature type, acting as a pinger, and gets bigger as those creatures die, becoming a real threat in the late game if left unchecked. Hissing Iguana turns our opponent's creatures dying into direct damage. Hooded Blightfang is a great way to take advantage of our Death Touch pingers if nothing is around to be removed, draining all our opponents whenever a Death Touch creature attacks. Mahadi Emporium Master turns creatures dying into mana we can use. Morbid Opportunist gives us card draw for creatures dying. Rakdos Ichor Spitter helps chip our opponents as it also pings creatures. Scalding Salamander works as a one-sided board wipe, for the most part if they don't have flyers. Spiteful Prankster again turns creatures dying into direct damage. Tuk Tuk Rabblefort is a great haste enabler, letting our creatures tap as soon as they come down. Corpse Augur, Embermage Goblin, Wojak Embermage can affect multiple players depending on the colors at the table. Dreadslaver might not be a pinger, but when we make him one, becomes a massive problem, because now any creature he kills comes back to our side of the field.
Welcome back to the winning team.
Ronin Cliffrider is another one-sided board wipe for whoever we swing at. Soul Collector works as another Dreadslaver. Archetype of Finality gives us some redundancy for our commander's ability. Deathbringer Thoktar is a removal house. For each creature that dies adds to his power, while being able to remove counters to deal 1 point of damage to any creature or player. And lastly, Harvester of Souls for massive card draw. Moving right into our sorceries, we run the usual suite of red card draw, as well as some removal for things our creatures can't take care of. Faithless Looting, Cathartic Reunion, Feed the Swarm, our only real answer for enchantments. Shenanigans, because if you shenan once, you might as well shenan again. Sign in Blood, Light Up the Stage, Read the Bones, Seize the Spoils, and Ambition's Cost, all for card draw. Sliding right into our instance, Dark Ritual will help us either drop threats or put our commander out early. Abrade for artifact removal, but if 1 point of damage won't kill something, maybe 3 will. Cathartic Pyre for more damage or card draw. Thrill of Possibility, Blood Pact, Big Score. Unexpected Windfall gives us more card draw, which in a Rakdos deck you never want to be lacking on card draw. And Shriveling Rot can turn our opponent's big creatures into huge drains for us, or as a surprise for our opponents if they remove our commander. Our artifacts are mostly mana rocks to make sure we can cast our commander as soon as possible. Viridian Longbow turns a creature into a pinger, which for some of our creatures comes with extra benefits. Mind Stone, Prismatic Lens, Rakdos Signet, Commander's Sphere, Darksteel Ingot, and Rakdos Cluestone. Moving right into our enchantments, where our real tools for turning our high-value creatures into pingers. Kaya's Ghost Form to protect any key creatures we have. Fire Whip, Lavamancer's Skill, Power of Fire, Rune of Mortality to add an extra layer of death touch for our creatures that really need it, Arcane Teachings, Descent into Avernus while dwindling down our opponent's life total. We also give them extra mana, which they hopefully use to play creatures that we can take advantage of. Lightning Prowess, Mechanized Warfare is here for when we are done dealing damage to creatures, we can turn 1 damage into 2 for our opponents. Theater of Horrors, again, is for draw. It's like sneezing for us to activate this thing. Greed is going to turn any excess mana into draw, and Outpost Siege for either draw or you can use it as an additional measure for your opponents that when they want to board wipe, it's gonna hurt them. We also run one Planeswalker in the form of Tibalt, which gives us a nice benefit of not allowing our opponents to gain life, and he can also make Devils that we can then use with Death Touch to deal 1 point of damage. So, he fits perfectly. For lands, it's pretty basic. Command Tower, Exotic Orchard, Smoldering Marsh, Tainted Peak, 19 mountains, and 14 swamps. The deck currently sits at about $25, which is perfect for people looking to get into Commander without a huge investment. But if you like the deck and want to upgrade, the first thing we should upgrade is the mana rocks, a Soul Ring and an Arcane Signet, Talisman of Indulgence. Then we can look to improve our win conditions. Revel in Riches rewards us for killing our opponent's creatures, as well as just for having enough treasure, which the deck makes by itself. Grave Betrayal puts those creatures we just got rid of onto our side of the field with a small power boost. Rise of the Dark Realms is a mass reanimation, and with all the creatures we've been taking out, that should be enough to end the game. Anger, Fervor, and Hammer of Purphoros will grant our creatures haste, getting our engine going even faster. Scythe of the Wretched will once again take our opponent's creatures and put them to better use serving us. Lastly, a Vorpal Sword works because it gives us Death Touch, but if we dump mana into it, we can start knocking players out even with our small creatures. Well, that's been the deck with some upgrades. I hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a comment of your favorite card or a card you would have put in the deck, or a commander you would like to see built on a budget, and I will catch you in the next one.